is up, weather enthusiasts? I'm your host, Pat's Path Predictor. Let's get right into the weather. Alright, so here's the situation we have for you, ladies and gentlemen, today. We've had major escalations in all the severe weather events that are going on. We have a very rare day 2 high risk that has been issued for parts of the Deep South. We have a moderate risk for severe weather for today for parts of the Mississippi River Valley, including Missouri, Illinois, and St. Louis. What you're looking at right now is cloud cover. There was some convection earlier this morning that was taking shape, but it has since mostly dissipated, and the cloud cover has cleared just in time for this system to start booming. Convection is starting to slowly wrap around and slowly get going to some extent in parts of Kansas and Oklahoma right there, and as that's right now currently in the thunderstorm and marginal risk region. As it moves deeper and deeper into the areas of instability that are going to be going up this today, it's going to have a better and better shot of becoming severe, and we have to pay very close attention to that as well. Also, the high risk for tomorrow. We're going to be talking about that very extensively as well, but I am going to be pivoting my focus more so towards today because this is a pretty big event that's going on. But before we do that, here is our storm code from John, our head admin at Storms United. We have a lot that's going on. We also, first of all, we have our first Storms United hatched code purple right here. First Storms United code purple, actually, for severe weather using the new system right here. And this is a hatched code purple right here as well, mainly because of the day 2 high risk that is going to be happening in the Deep South. We also have 2 code reds in effect as well, a hatched code red for severe weather for mainly today and tomorrow's moderate risk, and a code red for fire weather as well. So we're going to have to pay attention to that. The jet is going to be whipping across much of the Great Plains, so we're going to have to pay close attention to that as well. And while I'm talking to you, I'm just seeing what we're seeing. I'm just seeing what's going on at Storms United because everyone's been going crazy about this today. Hatched orange is for the enhanced risk, and regular orange is for the fire risk. Hatched yellow is for the 15% wind risk. And the regular code yellow is for the slight risk for days 1 through 3. So that's what we have going on with our storm code right here. Shout out John, our head admin, for presenting this every single day. So with that being said, let's go ahead and dive right into it. We're going to start with today's event because that is the most pressing issue, both chronologically and for me personally, since I am in the epicenter of this. So let's go ahead and get right into it. We have a moderate risk of severe weather from Iowa all the way down to Mississippi right here, and this is warranted mainly by the wind risk in the north and the tornado risk in the south. Let's go ahead and show you that we have a 15% hatched tornado risk from pretty much areas in Missouri and Illinois, including St. Louis, all the way down through Memphis and all Mississippi right there. A 10 hatched risk from Iowa all the way down to central Mississippi, including Jackson and those areas as well. We're going to have to pay attention to that as well. 5% tornado risk for the rest of the area and 2% further out. Here is our wind risk. We have a 45% hatched wind risk for Iowa, Missouri, and Illinois. That is a 45% risk of 75 mile per hour or greater winds happening within 25 miles of a point. And this is mainly going to be what I concentrate in the northern part of it. The southern part of it, as I've kind of alluded to with this risk, is going to be more discrete and semi-discrete supercells. So we're going to have to pay attention to that. Here's the hail risk, 30% significant severe. So we have a 30% probability of 2-inch hail or greater happening within 25 miles of a point. We're looking at hail up to baseball size expected from this, so we're going to have to pay close attention to it. There is a moderate risk of severe weather. A regional outbreak of severe thunderstorms is likely this afternoon through tonight across parts of the lower to mid-Mississippi Valley and portions of the lower Ohio Valley and Mid-South. Numerous tornadoes, several which could be strong. Widespread severe gusts ranging from 60 to 100 miles per hour and scattered large hail up to baseball size all appear likely. Ladies and gentlemen, you do not want to hear that kind of language from the Storm Prediction Center. Here's the synopsis that we have going on for you right here. This is generally more. We're going to go ahead and quickly talk about this. We're going to talk about the squall line threat and then the discrete stuff real quickly. Here's what we have. Ample diurnal heating is expected through this afternoon ahead of the cyclone, which with elevated convection already occurring in parts of eastern Oklahoma and southeast Kansas and southwest Missouri. More robust surface-based thunderstorms will likely develop by early to mid-afternoon, which is, I would say, between 1 and 4 p.m., along east of the dry line from parts of eastern Nebraska southward to eastern Kansas and western Missouri, as a southerly low-level jet attempts to bring shallow boundary layer moisture northward into the mid-Mississippi Valley vicinity. The northern portion of this convection will likely be oriented more orthogonal to the ejecting mid-level jet, and current expectations are for a quick upscale growth into a fast northeastern moving band right there. Given the strength of the mid-low level flow and presence of steep lapse rates aloft with the mixed boundary layer, intense thunderstorm straight line gusts peaking locally in the 80 to 100 mile per hour range are possible with the stronger core's inflictions in the band as it matures and moves across parts of the mid-Mississippi Valley and eventually into the southwestern Great Plains this evening through tonight. Additionally, potentially more discrete severe thunderstorms will develop this afternoon farther southeast along the wind shift into the lower central and eastern Missouri, generally on the northern periphery, somewhat better low-level moisture from the southeastern Missouri southward into the mid-south. Stronger high-level flow and ample deep layer shear over these will likely promote at least semi-discrete supercells. Latest model guides, including various convection allowing HREF members, suggest scattered. Okay, this just refreshed. Suggests scattered supercells developing late this afternoon and evening as far south as the Mississippi, Arkansas, Tennessee border region. Having nudged the severe probabilities and the corresponding slight enhanced moderate westward a little in the western central Missouri to account for slightly earlier initiation. The various NAM and RAP forecasts sounding strongly favor intense supercells capable of large to very large hail up to 2 to 3 inches in diameter and potentially multiple strong to intense tornadoes this evening as effective SRH rapidly increases in tandem with a low-level jet strengthening to 50 to 65 knots. This substantial severe threat is expected to continue eastward overnight into parts of the lower Ohio region and Midwest before convection eventually outpaces the low-level moisture and return and weakens. So that's what we have going on. I know that's a lot to talk about from the SPC, but given that's less, I'd say, technical stuff and more stuff that you guys can understand, I figured I could cover this very quickly, but ultimately here's the situation. Further up to the north, you're looking at a squall line, and further down to the south, you're looking at discrete supercells, and we can go ahead and show you the latest runs to kind of show you that as well. Here is the HUR run that we have pulled up for you. We're going to show you both the Midwest and the Deep South with this. We're going to mainly talk about precipitation in these runs, mainly just because for the sake of simplicity right here. Here's the 12Z HUR. I know it's not the quickest we have out right here, but it gives a general gist as to we are to expect. So we had some thunderstorms developing. That was pretty typical. That's not going to do too much to the severe weather threat. And then you have this stuff starting to really fire off around 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon in western Missouri. And then things really start to ramp up around 5, 6 p.m. That's when you start developing your semi-discrete supercells across much of Missouri and into Arkansas as well. You're starting to see those supercells organize and develop. You're starting to see that squall line start to develop as well in parts of Iowa and Illinois. But pay close attention right here if you are in the St. Louis area. The mode you guys are going to get, you're going to get semi-discrete supercells. Originally, we were thinking that you guys were going to get a squall line setup from this, but the models have shifted further and further and further to the north. And now we are expected to get semi-discrete supercells, 2 discrete supercells, and that's greatly going to increase your tornado risk and greatly going to increase your hail risk. It does decrease the wind risk by a little bit, but by and large, it overall increases the threat for tornadoes and hail, and we're going to have to pay very close attention to it. You still have discrete supercells organizing and developing as the squall line starts to organize and impact the Chicago area, and you still have discrete supercells, mind you, by deep into the overnight, around 1 o'clock in the morning or so. And just a quick comment real quickly, this is going to be predominantly a nighttime threat for a lot of eastern Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, and those areas that are getting supercells. This is going to be extraordinarily dangerous. And the reason it's going to be extraordinarily dangerous is because you can't see tornadoes at night. A lot of people, especially by the time this impacts the St. Louis area around 10 o'clock at night, are going to start heading to bed. It helps a little bit that it's Friday night, it's the end of the work week, and people are probably out and about doing stuff like that. But ultimately, this is going to be a nighttime event, and we're going to have to pay very close attention to this. Let's go ahead and pivot down to a bit further to the south as well so we can cover the risk over there. You're looking at some convection firing up in Louisiana, Mississippi, and those areas right there. You're also looking at more discrete stuff firing off in Arkansas as well, so we're going to have to pay close attention to that as we shift into tomorrow. You're starting to seeing an MCS organize and develop a mesoscale convective system developing in Alabama and Tennessee that we're going to have to monitor overnight because that will pose a big interest into what happens for tomorrow's risk. So here's what we have going on. This is what everyone is talking about right here. This is the main meat of what's going on. There is a day 2 high risk. You do not see this very often. In fact, the last time you saw a high risk of severe weather issued on day 2 was in 2012. This has been 13 years since you saw a day 2 high risk. That is pretty crazy, to say the very least, and expect this high risk to continue and even expand in day 1, especially as we get more data and more information out as well. Here's what we have going on. There is a 30% hatched risk of tornadoes. That is what is warranting this high risk. There is going to be a very big and potentially historic tornado outbreak in the south tomorrow. And there's going to be potentially, part of it is potentially going to happen today in parts of Missouri, Illinois, and Arkansas. You need to take this very seriously if you are in the moderate risk for today and in the high risk for tomorrow especially. But even if you are not in the highest risk, as Ian has previously mentioned throughout the stream last night, take this very seriously. Even a 2% risk of tornadoes, you can still get a tornado from this. There's still a risk of it. But regardless of that, 30% hatched, that is a 30% probability of EF2 to EF5 tornadoes happening within 25 miles of a point. Torcon, I'm assuming for the Weather Channel, is going to be at a 9 with this. Hey, wind risk is at 30% hatched right there. Hail's at 30% sig right here. But the tornado threat is what's the main stuff is going to be for tomorrow. Here's what we have going on. There is a high risk of severe thunderstorms in central and southeastern southern parts of Mississippi and Alabama. Summary, and this is something you do not want to see from the SPC. A tornado outbreak is likely on Saturday across the central Gulf Coast states and deep south into the Tennessee Valley. Numerous significant tornadoes, some of which could be long-tracked and potentially violent, are expected on Saturday afternoon and evening. The most dangerous tornado threat should begin across eastern Louisiana and Mississippi during the late morning to afternoon and spread across Alabama late day into the evening and reach western parts of the Florida Panhandle and Georgia Saturday night. Forgot to even mention this. Much of the Florida Panhandle, including Pensacola, is under a moderate risk. You don't see that very often. In fact, some of the other areas I'm paying attention to are under a moderate risk. That's pretty concerning to say the very least. Let's go ahead and take a quick gander at this. After collaboration with WFOs in Birmingham, Jackson, and Mobile, an upgrade to a level 5 high risk appears warranted for the most likely corridor of potentially violent tornadoes, peaking tomorrow afternoon and evening. A broader of moderate risk has been expanded somewhat eastward for nocturnal significant tornado threat, so that is also increased. Let's go ahead and quickly look at the parameters very quickly. Let's go ahead and quickly look at this. Steep mid-level lapse rates atop rich moist boundary layer will yield at least moderate CAPE values from 1,500 to 2,500 joules per kilogram across eastern Louisiana to central Mississippi. Vertical veering wind profiles with strong anvil level divergence amid the favorable instability should support robust updrafts and intense supercells. Low-level shear will strengthen midday through the afternoon. LOJ is going to kick in, yielding a potential for a tornado outbreak. The most probable convective corridor will be along the effective outflow boundary across the central and northern parts of Mississippi into northern Alabama and southern Tennessee. Along and south of this will be the most favored corridor of long-track discrete supercells. This will likely develop within the north and south-oriented confluence bands as increasing large-scale ascent becomes coincidental with the peak heating cycle. A volatile combination of kinematic and thermodynamic parameters will support potential for long-track EF3 plus tornadoes. On day 2, you do not want to hear this. The overall spatial extent of this threat will be modulated by the degree of boundary layer heating within the mid to upper 60s dew points plume. Significant tornado potential, along with very large hail and destructive damaging wind gusts, should persist into Saturday night. Greater potential for a broken to linear band of thunderstorms is anticipated by this time, but wind profiles will still strongly favor supercells. As such, a mix of all three hazards may continue, with 6 severe hail potential favored south and 6 severe wind favored north, as convective band spreads towards the southern Appalachians and the northeast Gulf Coast. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the SPC, and I know we spent like the last 5.5 minutes talking about it and not going into runs and all that stuff, but this is very important that I cover this. Let's go ahead and show you the HRRR for tomorrow. So you have this stuff organizing and developing tonight. You have that MCS developing. Then you start seeing organized convective stuff developing in the morning and then into the afternoon. What we're looking at potentially, guys, is multiple rounds of supercells. The environment's going to be that tapped and that good for multiple rounds of supercells potentially. And things will start to develop around the mid-morning, and then things will really start to escalate in the early afternoon right here. Starting around 11 to 12 o'clock, you're starting to see your supercell development. And then by 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, that's when the main event kicks off. And that's when you have a lot of supercells really organizing and developing. The MCS lifts further up to the north into Alabama. And you have a lot of stuff going on. You have that more squally setup in parts of Tennessee right there. But then you have very discrete stuff happening in Alabama. And you also have another line of supercells developing behind this right here. You have this moving through parts of Alabama and going into Georgia as well in the overnight. You're seeing more stuff potentially developing over there as well. This is going to be a very violent tornado outbreak. All of this, and I'll go ahead and show you the Cape as well. Just to kind of give you some context to this, what you're going to see is you're going to have that morning instability, but then around 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, you're going to see a lot more of it organizing and developing and really ramping up right here. Look at this. You're looking at up to 3,500 joules per kilogram of CAPE if you're in central Mississippi. That is going to be on top of up to 60 knots of wind shear at 1 kilometer. That is going to enhance your tornado threat. And I don't say this very lightly because I don't want to scare people, but this is going to be a very bad tornado outbreak. There's no way around it. And I will continue to keep you updated and keep you informed on that, but by and large, this is a significant problem. Look at the SIG-TOR parameter, folks, from the HRRR. It really starts to ramp up around 1 o'clock in the afternoon and really ramps up from then. Let's take a look at this. We're looking at up to 13 to 14 SIG-TOR parameter, and this is all discrete stuff, by the way. Supercell composite is off the charts as well. Supercell composite is insane. We're looking at up to 40 supercell composite in isolated areas. We're off the charts with this. Updraft helicity swaths. Take a look at this, ladies and gentlemen. This is from some of the stuff we're going to see tonight, and then look at boom, 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 boom. That is something you do not want to see as a forecaster right here. Let's look at those 0 to 1 kilometer SRH very quickly. SRH values are going to explode into the tomorrow afternoon and evening. That's what's going to enhance your development. Lightning density, you're going to see a lot of lightning with this as well. Quite interesting. Your echo tops, they're very discrete. They're very powerful as well. There's no going around this. There's no sugarcoating this. This is going to be a very bad, severe weather event, and all the models are showing that. The HRRR, we can also show you the NAM Nest as well. Here's what they have for the CAPE going for it as well. They have the CAPE exploding once again to around 3,500 joules per kilogram. And taking a look at the precip and the simulated reflectivity, things become really discrete going forward with this. And there's no easy way to say this, but this is going to be bad. That's all I can say about it. And one thing I will say before I end this video is, normally I would not ask people to share my videos. I ask for you to like, subscribe, all of that stuff. But because this is an event where this is an event that we have not seen such a great risk for in years. Because this has such a big risk to life and property, I am asking you all who are watching this, especially those in the moderate risk today and the high risk tomorrow, to share this video. Get this to your family, get this to your friends, get this out on the internet, get this on Twitter, get this on Instagram, get this everywhere you can. Make sure people see this, because this is going to be a very bad outbreak. And I want people to be informed, and I will continue to update you here on the Pat's Path Predictor channel. Stream is going to start at 5 p.m. Be sure to be there and share this video. Have a wonderful day, guys. Stay safe.